Hello everyone. So let's begin with the Flutter. So Flutter is a hybrid platform which enable you to write code for Android, for iOS, for web, for Linux, for Mac, for Windows. So this is amazing, right? So if you write one code and that can be run on different platforms, different OS, so that's pretty good thing, right? So okay, so before moving forward, let me give you a brief idea like what are hybrid platforms and what are native platforms. So native platforms are those where we can write code for that specific platform, like for Android, for iOS, for web. So these are three different platforms, and we can write specific code for that particular platform. Like for Android, we use Java and Kotlin, and using Android SDK, and for iOS we use C and Swift, and we write code for that specific uh, platform. And for web we use uh, HTML, CSS, and other Node.js, all backend technologies. So these are native. But if we talk about hybrid platforms, so hybrid platforms are like where there is a one code base, and we can use those code base to write application which can run on different platforms, right? So suppose we have Flutter, so we can use same code base, and we can develop application which can run on Android, iOS, web, Linux, Mac, and Windows similarly. So these are hybrid and native platforms. So if we talk about history of hybrid applications, right, and hybrid platforms, so earlier we have Ionic, we have PhoneGap, we have React Native. So these are all popular, but they have some limitations. They are not fast. So they was developed using WebView. So there are security concerns. So there are a lot of things which are there in those platforms. So Google come up with this new framework, UI framework, which is known as Flutter. So Flutter is fast, Flutter is portable, Flutter is beautiful, and we can use Flutter for increasing our productivity. And this is open source. So Flutter is written on Dart. So if you want to learn Flutter, then you have to have some command on language like Dart. So Dart के लिए मैं अलग से वीडियो बना दूंगा. Meanwhile, let's focus on Flutter. सो फ्लटर का यूज़ करके हम एप्लीकेशन बना सकते हैं iOS, एंड्रॉयड, वेब, विंडोज़, मैक ओएस, लाइनक्स, एम्बेडेड. सो फ्लटर इज now you know the power of this platform, like using the same code base, you're writing code and which can run on this different devices and platforms. So this is why we prefer Flutter. And ओके, सो आगे बढ़ते हैं. सो फ्लटर वर्जन्स. सो गूगल ने 2017 में फ्लटर को एज ए ऑफिशियल हाइब्रिड प्लेटफॉर्म रिलीज कर दिया था. And before 2017, Flutter is in a beta phase where lot of R&D is going on to make this platform as stable. And in Flutter 1.0, when it was released in 2017, moreover, this support is on Android and iOS devices only. So we can use Flutter to develop application for Android and iOS applications. And in Flutter 1.2, they have given support for DevTools. DevTools are tools which we use to debug application and manage network and memory. And similarly, in Flutter 1.12, so they have given support for adding this Flutter modules in our existing application, like in Android and in iOS natively. And similarly, Flutter 2.0, which is a major release where the concept of null safety is included in that SDK by default, and then web support and desktop preview supports are added. And in Flutter 2.5, they have given support for material design. So okay, so in Flutter 2.5, they have given support for Material U, which is a material design. So material design is a design principle which we use for developing application, and considering it includes number of mod design components like card, and then bottom navigation, and then slider, and then material button, fab button. So there are a number of components which we use and which we discuss later, and we learn later how to use when we start developing the applications. And in Flutter 2.0 they have given support for Windows. So this year, in 2022, Flutter make release 3.0 as a major release. So it includes support for Android, iOS, which is already there, and they have given stable release for Windows, Web, macOS. So all now using Flutter, we can create application for all this platform. So in Flutter 3, so these are few features which are added in Flutter 3. And this is a major stable release where they have given support for macOS applications. They have given support for Apple Silicon native binaries, assigned executables, export for Linux applications. So we can now create application for Linux application also, and control over web loading. So these are few fast web image decoding and scaling, hybrid app toolkit, and foldable device support. So when we develop application for foldable devices, so they have given support for that also. Material 3, which is also a new advanced version for of material design, and they have given enhanced mobile platform views, enhanced enumerations. So these are few things. And also one major feature they have included in this release is that casual game toolkit. So this is in beta phase, uh, but later on this will make become more stable as we uh, see other future releases for Flutter. This is all about Flutter. So we have completed the introduction, but there is one thing: how Flutter is fast. सो फ्लटर इज फास्ट. सो जो प्रीवियस जितने भी प्लेटफॉर्म थे, चाहे वो रिएक्ट नेटिव हो गया, या आयोनिक हो गया, या फोन गैप हो गया, वो क्या करते थे? वेब व्यू जो होता है, विच इज़ कॉमन इन एंड्रॉयड, iOS एंड वेब. सो दे यूज web view, and they develop their components over that web view, like slider and all those button, every components. So they all use components to render on web view, and this is how that previous platform work. बट अगर हम बात करें फ्लटर में, तो फ्लटर क्या करता है? फ्लटर रिस्पेक्टिव बाइनरी कोड जनरेट करता है टू द रिस्पेक्टिव प्लेटफॉर्म्स. लाइक if you are giving support for Android, so it will give generate a binary code internally for that Android and inject to the Android. So it act as a native and the performance is fast. Similarly, iOS के लिए it generate binary respective code for iOS, and it inject to iOS, and the performance is fast in iOS. Similarly, it do for web also, and for other Linux and macOS also. So this is all about Flutter. In next videos, I will guide you with the development setup for Flutter application. And do let me know आपको ये video कैसा लगा, and put your point of view and what you want to learn. Thank you everyone.